You're the guy people call when they need a helping hand, moving furniture, unloading a truck. But lately, your shoulder's been acting up, and you're the one who's calling for help. And that's the moment you realize you can no longer shoulder the load.
The Joint and Spine Center is Cincinnati's leading destination for orthopedic care with a range of surgical and non-surgical treatments. So when a moment has the power to change the rest of your life, go to the one place with the power to change it for the better, the Christ Hospital Health Network. This changes everything.
The Pound This Podcast is brought to you by the Christ Hospital Health Network. This is the Pound This Podcast, episode 664, Daily Weigh-In, When Your Goal Weight Isn't Enough.
I want to lose weight, but I don't know how to get started.
What should I meal prep every week?
How do I get those sweet booty gains?
Inspiration for your healthy lifestyle. The Pound This Podcast with Amanda Valentine.
Hello there. Thank you so much for listening to the Pound This Podcast. I am Amanda Valentine, and this is the Daily Weigh-In, where I take your questions, mostly from my Instagram page. If you want to slide in my DMs, you can find me at You Can Pound This. Always, you can shoot me a comment, question, etc. Via email. I'm at amanda@amandavalentinebites.com. Today's question is, what happens when you get to your goal weight and it doesn't feel like it's enough? And I do want to answer that here in a second. I do want to say, if you find any value in this episode or any episode of Pound This, please share it social media with your friends, family, coworkers, anybody that you feel like the information in this podcast may help. Please share. I would appreciate that so much. So, when your goal weight isn't enough, and I will say that probably this may be a better question for a therapist. Again, a reminder, I am not a doctor at all. I am a certified personal trainer now, which is wild to me, certified nutritionist, and I have spent most of my life obese, a decade yo-yo dieting, and then losing over 100 pounds and mostly maintaining, and completely jettisoning my whole entire life to work in health and fitness. So that's my background. And as somebody, I would say that I never had a specific number goal weight. So again, from that, I'm trying to say that my answer to this question is just purely coming from a place of my journey and kind of where I see some other people. But when I started losing weight, which was a New Year's resolution in 2012, I'm like, I just need to make the best decision possible in every moment. It wasn't like, hey girl, lose over 100 pounds. Because when I've thought about that before, when I was yo-yo dieting, it's suffocating, right? It's too much. It's to think of like, I have 100 pounds or whatever your thing is to lose. And you're like, I'm never going to do that. And I didn't. So I didn't think I want to be this certain number. And I felt like that personally was helpful for me. I think small steps of like, hey, it'd be really cool to lose 10 pounds. Wouldn't that be cool? I bet I would feel a lot better. My knees would probably feel better. And stick there and see where you go. So I didn't have a specific number in mind. I think I had for a long time thinking, 120 pounds. That's what people say is skinny. And kind of knowing me and my body and my build, 120 pounds, I don't think I would look healthy, to be honest with you. And so I think you start to, as you're losing weight or on your journey, and you kind of, if you have a number like that, I would say probably reevaluate. And then I will say that the number I was striving for was to be down 120 pounds because I was down 117. And so I'm like, but those 3 pounds were freaking brutal because I never got them. And I think it's because the lifestyle I was at whenever I was just at 22% body fat, which was pre-COVID, that I'm not quite there. And I'm not sure if I'm going to quite go to exactly that same place again, to be honest with you, because again, 22% body fat is pretty low body fat. Like, it's pretty athletic. And I still saw myself as fat. I mean, I still see myself as fat now. I mean, this is where I'm talking about therapy because this is body dysmorphia. This is in your head. So sometimes where you say, what if I get to my goal weight and it's not enough? Well, was your goal to be like, hey, I want to lose 10 pounds? And now that I'm here, I want to lose more. Or are you down like 75 pounds or whatever it is? And you're at the point where you can't eke out those next 3 pounds because there is really not too much to move without you going to an unhealthy place. And I think it's so hard to see ourselves, especially, if you're anything like me, of like always define myself as the fat chick. Always. I've not really known a time where I wasn't so focused on weight loss. Like it's always like there'd be less you. There's too much of you. It was what I'd tell myself and what other people in my life had told me. And what society tells you, right? If you don't have abs, you fat. Like that's, oh God. We know intellectually this isn't true, right? But whenever you're in that mode of I'm so used to just losing weight, and you get the high of the scale going down and the pant size going down and the inches going down, then when you get there and you feel like this isn't enough, I still feel too big. That is a point where you need to maybe take a step back, really think about where you're at and what is healthy and your actions. And is this in your head? And a lot of those times I'd say that it's hard to get out of your own head. So that's where you maybe want to ask a professional, right? Of somebody who is a coach in some sort of way or a doctor and be like, hey, I feel like I'm here and this isn't enough. Like I need to lose more. And you maybe just need someone else to tell you of like, no, like you are healthy. This is a healthy weight. You're a healthy size. Your body feels good. You mentally feel good other than this hang up that you aren't thin enough. Or talk to therapist. I would highly recommend, at least if you're here in Ohio, Gallia Collaborative, of a group of women therapists that talk a lot about body image, and they specialize in a lot of that. Talk to someone about it and just be like, is this body dysmorphia? Am I in my head? Or yeah, it's like, no, there's some place to go from here. But I think it's also being in the headspace of, do you physically feel good? I mean, are you proud of where you came from? Is losing another 10 pounds really going to be life-changing and rock your world and really, transform your life? And if it's not, and you're feeling, you're not feeling hungry all the time and you're enjoying your exercise routine, you're like enjoying how you move your body, you're enjoying how you eat, you enjoy how you feel in your clothes, all of those things. If, bring this up too, sleep, hydration, stress levels, all that stuff, then, that's all things that you need to take into account for. And being a person that has lived through this and currently in this, that's hard. It's easy to be like, well, it's not easy either. I mean, the weight loss game is not easy, as we all know, that it's like, okay, well, I know what the next goal is, because then when it comes to maintenance ain't much fun either. Like, unless it's a lifestyle, right? Like if you've made this a lifestyle, you're enjoying everything you're doing. You're not like cranking calories lower and lower and constantly manipulating things to make your body smaller. Then you're like, well, what do I have to hang on to now? How do I hold steady? And that's the next challenge then, maybe, if like, hey, if I'm worried this isn't enough, well, let's just try a maintenance phase here. Let's take a couple months and just hang where we are, making the healthy choices, feeling good, stay like this a few months, feel it out. And if in a few months you're just kind of like, no, I feel like I need to lose another 10 pounds or whatever it is. If like, then maybe start going after that goal. Again, this is so hard to answer because everybody is going to be in such a different space, like where your body is, you know what I mean? And like where you are mentally. So this is just such broad stroke answers. And again, to reiterate, I'm not a doctor and I am not a therapist, but, always kind of just checking in with yourself and trying something different and reevaluating. I'd say that if you're trashing yourself because it doesn't feel like enough, then maybe hit the pause button and think of why am I treating myself this way? Why is this not good enough? And, I've gone through a lot of that work, and I am now too, especially in therapy and being my own armchair therapist, of when I feel like in this mode and I feel like my body isn't good enough, where is that coming from? Because my body is serving me in so many ways, and I am a healthy weight. You know what I mean? I can move my body. I can exercise. I am doing healthy choices for myself. Where is this coming from? That my body isn't good enough and it has to keep changing, but then it's that target or it's never going to make you happy, right? And I think that's where this question's coming from of like, will I ever be happy with it? And that's where the mental work is going to come in. Again, I will sing the praises of therapy all day, as long as you have the right therapist to discuss these things with, because I don't know exactly where everybody's at. But that's where you go into body dysmorphia of like, it's never going to be good enough. And that's no way to live, right? No matter what you do for yourself, you are never going to be good enough. Your body is never going to be good enough. That's a bummer. Like, think about living that way till you die. Like, that sucks, right? I mean, but it's work. Just like losing weight is work, right? It's consistency, it's determination, it's, putting in the work to make things happen. That's where you're going to have to put in the work mentally here too of, okay, well, what really will make me happy? And again, where is this coming from? Whose voice is in my head telling me that this isn't okay, that you're not done yet, right? And I mean, I don't have the answers for that. I do for me, which is a discussion for another time of really sitting down and really going through of like things that people said to you that you hold on to forever, or that I've seen a lot of trend on TikTok, especially in the past week. If you're listening to this trend might not even be in your algorithm or be gone, but people are like, hey, growing up in the early 2000s, no wonder I'm like so jacked in the head, because everybody was so insanely thin with the low-rise jeans, think like Paris Hilton, Britney at the time, all of that stuff. And that's what was told to you is like, this is what your body needs to look like. And if you're not this, you know what I mean? Which is, oh my God, such crap. And so maybe part of that is playing around in your head, depending on how old you are, of like, is maybe that's a thing where this is coming from, where somebody in your family said, or again, like it's so insane what words can do to people. I was just having this conversation with a friend yesterday about how important people's words are. There was a guest on this podcast early on where she said that her mom made one comment to her when she was in high school about her thighs, and that she developed an eating disorder from one comment, which is horrifying, right? So maybe somebody said something to you in the past that is just buried in your soul somehow. And that's where it gets hard of like, okay, I got to dig this up and I got to let that go. And I'm in the process of doing a lot of that right now, which is unpleasant, but it feels so good to let stuff go. I'm really bad at letting things go. And that's actually part of the plan of my next tattoo is I want to have let go written on me, because I need to let a lot of stuff go. I think we all do. So finding where some of that mindset's coming from and be like, that's not true. That is not true. And I'm letting this go. And this doesn't serve me anymore. And I'm happy in my body now. And this is enough. And can you tell yourself that message, which, again, going through this right now, of saying that to yourself versus you're not good enough when you're used to a lifetime of telling yourself, I'm not good enough, is really hard, and it feels very untrue. It feels like you're lying to yourself. Again, I was at my therapist this morning, and we made the comment of, or I said something about a situation, and I'm like, I'm better than this. I feel like I'm better than this. And she's like, but I don't believe you when you say that. Do you believe that yourself? I don't believe that you think that you're better than this. Because if you were, wouldn't you let it go? And I'm like, oh, dang it. I hate when you are right. That's why you're so expensive. But it's like, yeah, yeah, you've really got to believe that whenever you're just trying to like change the narrative and the messaging, it's like, well, it's not going to work if you don't really believe it. If I am enough, my body is enough, and I love my body and I love myself. If you say that and it doesn't mean a damn thing and you're just saying it because this chick on a podcast told you to, then it's not going to make a difference. You're still just going to stay in those same old patterns, and you're still going to feel like you're not good enough, even though you've hit your goal weight. So yeah, it's a lot of unpacking. It's all the real gross, unfun stuff that will really make a world of difference, because then that's a part of your life, right? When you can tell yourself, look in the mirror and really believe like, I'm enough. My body is enough and I love it. And you believe it, then you're not really going to be looking in there and be like, oh, you need to lose another 10 pounds. Right? Or you could just be like, I love myself, but like, hey, I'm feeling a little unhealthy. You know, I've been hitting the Cheetos pretty hard and makes me real sleepy and sluggish. And yeah, I probably got some work to do, and I want to do the work because I love myself. I love me, and I want me to be healthy. And that's why I want to lose weight. And that's why I want to exercise. And that's why I want to make stress management a priority, because I love me and I'm taking care of me, not because someone else said I was too big for this world and I have to be smaller to fit in it. You know what I'm saying? So a lot of this has got to come from there. And that isn't going to come in a diet plan. And that's not going to happen overnight. Just like you're not going to gain all of your weight back by eating Taco Bell one night. All of that, a lifetime of bullying in your own head or bullying from someone else in your head isn't going to go away. It's the catching it in the moment when you're hearing that voice. You're not enough. Even though you hit this goal, you hit the goal. Instead of being proud of yourself, you're telling yourself you're not enough. And it's catching it right there and be like, is that true? Is that true? Am I saying that? And if it's not, then we got to work on that and let it go. And it's going to keep popping up again, because again, it's a lifetime of ingrained in your head. And then every time it pops up, again, it's work, it's consistency, it's drinking the water, it's eating the vegetables, it's going for a walk. All of those things add up when you do them over and over and over again, right? So does, hey, that's not true. Yeah, love you. You're great. Your body is perfect. Chill. You know what I mean? And I think, again, to have the perspective of, sorry, I bet the mailman's here. Dog's freaking out. That, of course, that happens. Having a serious conversation here, Beasley. Jeez, these animals. That it takes the work of working through that, which is why I think working with a therapist is so great. And to point out some of those things and catch you in that moment, just like my therapist did today, where do you really believe that you're better than this? Because I think that you are. So start believing it. How do we start believing it? And yeah, and then working on that, and then things become better. So I didn't really mean for this to go in such a hard therapy conversation. And I really hope I answered your question. And I really do want to get a therapist on here. I mean, there's so many topics, and I have before. If you are looking for some good therapy episodes, just whichever app you're listening on, just search Pound This, Ashley Solomon. And there's a lot of great topics, including burnout. She was on my tween week, which if you want to cry, also look up Pound This Tween Week. And if you want to hear some young girls discussing how they feel about their bodies, it is the most heartbreaking thing. And I'm like crying right now. Like I think it's a really hard episode to listen to. And I think it's also very necessary. So there's 2 episodes if you want to listen to that. It's Tween Week, Girls Talk Body Image, and Tween Week, Ashley Solomon, where she listened to that episode and gives advice for both parents and for girls that age. Because to hear an 11 and 12-year-old beautiful girls talk about how much they hate their body and how disgusting they think they are. And I'm like, that was me then, and that has been me now. and it's painful. And it's like, how do we massage this out of us, right? Like, we weren't born to hate ourselves. Like, there's no evolutionary standpoint to be like, this human's going to hate themselves. That's not going to help anyone. So it's coming from somewhere. And how do we change the narrative? So yes, I really do want to discuss this topic of body dysmorphia. And I have asked Rochelle Froboda, who's another great guest, about discussing that a little bit too, with sexuality. But that's a little out of her scope, even though she is absolutely amazing. So hang tight, still working on that episode. But this one, obviously, just me, not the expert, just rando chick. So, there goes the dog. That is my time to go. He's telling me, shut up, Amanda. Again, if you have any more questions, you can always send them to Amanda@AmandaValentineBites.com. Appreciate you so much for listening. You have no idea. Again, please share this episode if it's helpful to you or anyone you know, or any episode. That would be awesome. All right, catch you later. Bye.
AmandaValentineBites.com.